Well, you're already standing, so place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Welcome to our meeting, February 5th, 2019. And we will start with, we did not take action in closed session, so we will go to Ms. Jeanette. I'm sorry. Okay, the adoption of the minutes of January 22nd, please vote.
So moved.
Thank you, President Ibarra. It's my pleasure at this time to recognize our Beyond the Classroom recipient for this month. As you know, we have amazing employees in our district, but every once in a while we find those that shine above and beyond the classroom. And our recipient this evening comes from Corona High School. So at this time, I would like to call Dr. Antonio Gonzalez, the principal of Corona High, to the podium, along with the recipient, Mrs. Amy Eden.
Madam President, Board, Cabinet, thank you once again for taking time to recognize not only students but staff members as well.
Today, oh there we go. Did I touch something? Okay, all right. Today we recognize Mrs. Eden, and it's called Beyond the Classroom because these are things that happen beyond the four walls of her classroom. And to be a choir director, I have not been a choir director, I'm going to say that right now, but here's what I do know, what it takes to be a choir director. To be a good choir director and to build a program takes a lot of dedication, and it doesn't stop at 245 or 244. It really doesn't. It goes way beyond that. As a matter of fact, I think she just got back from San Francisco a couple hours ago. I texted herself, we just got off the bus, the last student's just getting picked up. So that's beyond the classroom, right? And every year they travel to the classrooms, Washington, D.C. This year it's San Francisco, but San Antonio for the competition. But I'm going to read, to do this justice, Yana Wood is actually a school psych in our district. And her daughter participated in the choir camp that Mrs. Eden runs every year. So I want to take time to read. It's not very long, but I'll read this. Again, this is from Yana Wood, school psych. Amy Eden, the choir director at Corona High School, works many hours after school to run a 2-week choir camp for kids in grades 3 through 8. My daughter just participated in the program and loved it. She saw the Corona Magical sing at Ben Franklin in December, and she came home and told me she wanted to sing just like them. My daughter went every day with extreme excitement for the choir camp. Ms. Eden's passion for kids and music is evident. Many of the young students sang solos for the first time. The young students worked well with the high school madrigals under Ms. Eden's direction. A few of the benefits of Ms. Eden's choir camp are improved self-esteem, music education, positive peer relationships, and performance experience. I think Amy Eden is an excellent candidate for Beyond the Classroom Award. She donated many, many hours. Now we add many, 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 many more hours to the benefits of students of all ages. I have attached a picture of my daughter with Ms. Eden after the performance. So this is just one small token. I think that we can show our appreciation for everything that Ms. Eden does for not just the students at Corona High School, but as she extends and opens up the invitation for students in the entire district to take part in this choir camp. So, Mrs. Eden, this is for you.
I'll just say thank you. I think every teacher does what they do for their kids. So choir camp is for my future kids and our future Panthers. So yeah, a little extra time here and there is easy.
Ms. Judy now, presentation to the board.
Okay, it's my pleasure at this time to introduce the founder and CEO of the 100 Mile Club, Mrs. Kara Lubin, and she's here to do a short presentation on an upcoming event.
You guys, I speak all over, and this is the most nervous I ever get. Because I care about you guys the most.
No, because your business.
Yeah. So, Madam President, School Board, Cabinet, it is an honor to be here today, and it is an honor to share with you our 2019 Run for Kids event. I have a quick presentation to show you, and I want to invite all of you to come out this year. It's going to be a hoot. 3, 2, 1. Oh my gosh. So this year is our 12th annual Run for Kids Day. This year we have been so blessed to be able to offer completely free registration to any kid, anywhere, in any school district who wants to come to this event. And I extend the warmest, biggest invitation to our students in Corona Norco Unified. Our hashtag this year is We Are One. But within the Corona Norco Unified School District, I can tell you right now, there is a huge competition for this trophy right here. And it has gone between Lincoln and Reagan for the last, I don't know, 10 years maybe. And Reagan took it from Lincoln about 3 years ago. And they're trying to get it back. So the competition has already started. In order to get credit for the trophy, you have to actually show up to the event this year because it is free registration. And I had a school call and say, well, what if we just register everybody? And I said, no. So it's a little different this year. If you have students that are participating in the Run with the Cop program, which is a partner program that we have with the Corona Police Department, all miles that students run at Run with a Cop at Run for Kids count toward Run with a Cop. And this event will be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on March 16th. And we literally have something for everyone, even a 5K. So if you are interested in running a timed 5K, we have a chip timed event. And actually we have events that go from a 5K to a 12-hour run, to a 24-hour run, to a 100-mile run. Plus we have the kids event. But the 5K is really a fun way to do a timed event, earn a medal. This year, our theme for the year nationally is We Are One. And one stands for One National Effort. In the 100 Mile Club, we are constantly working to help our kids become happier, healthier, and more connected in their communities. And it all starts here in Corona Norco. For us, this is what matters. This is a little girl named Charlotte. She's actually a student in Pomona. But she drives every Thursday to Dos Lagos because she has made friends there. And when you talk about social emotional development, when you talk about connecting, this is it. She wanted to finish her 100th mile with her friends that she met at Dos Lagos. And we were lucky enough to catch it on video. And the little girls that were greeting her were girls from Corona Norco. So that's the connection that we do. At Run for Kids this year, we have a fun upgrade. If you're interested, we have a cute headband, and I'm wearing it because my hair's a mess, and it rained today. But that is it, and it has our We Are One theme, so that's something that you can get when you're there. Here, what I'd like to hopefully ask you all to do is to share this event with anyone and everyone. So far, we have 39 schools represented in our registrations, most in Corona Norco, but not all. And definitely like our pages on Facebook, our Run for Kids Day page, to stay in the loop. And just rally the troops. Tell everyone about this event, let everyone know that it's going on, and let everyone know that registration is completely free this year. We have flyers available in English and Spanish, so let me know what you need. We can send those to you digitally. Thank you guys so much for your time. I hope to see you on March 16th, like I said. It goes from 9 to 3, and you can come anytime. Or if you want to run for 24 hours, we'll be there all night. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kara.
Thank
Could
you.
you send that to us so we can put it on our Facebook page?
The flyers or the whole
Flyer.
thing? I can send you the video and I can send you the flyers. I can
Okay.
send you everything.
And do you have like a half K for older people?
Okay,
Not run?
Madam President, you have 6 hours to do a 5K. So anybody can do it. Seriously, you're gonna take off with the kids and nobody cares how fast you go.
I'll be lost.
Nobody cares. And you can't get lost. Just follow the children and it's perfect. So if you want to do the 5K, I will be there to put a medal around your neck if you do. Oh, I think I just
Is that
had
a challenge?
Maybe. Thank you guys so much. I'd love to see you all there. Thank you.
Our next presentation today comes to us from the Corona Norco Schools Educational Foundation. And we have with us today Mrs. Gretchen Dowdy, who is here to present some grants.
Good evening, Madam President and Board and Cabinet. I'm Gretchen Dowdy, and we have some of our other board members here, Yvette, Melissa, and Anthony. And the Educational Foundation was started in 2008 to meet some of the unfunded needs of the students in our district. Our priority areas are academic intervention program, arts and music, after school, enrichment, technology upgrades, and science/STEM. A total of $531,507.94 has been provided to our schools in the form of grants since the inception of our grant process and since 2010. Tonight, I am excited to be able to present 11 more grants that were just awarded in November. And our first grant recipient is Alicia Young from Park Ridge Elementary for $1,000. She's going to do a production of Annie in March.
Thank you so much.
Alicia.
Yes.
Thank you. Our next recipient is Stephanie from Todd Academy for $1,000 for epic course for STEAM activities, Generation Science Standards. Our next recipient is Amelia Crawford from Park Ridge Elementary for $1,000. She will be taking her students to tour the San Bernardino County Museum and Expanding Learning. Our next recipient, Javier Alvarez from Park Ridge Elementary, $1,000 to purchase sports equipment for the sports field day with other schools. Our next recipient is Joni Wolpen from Citrus Hills Intermediate School for $988.81 for equipment for 3D design and 3D printing. Our next recipient is Mitzi Indenmauer. She's at multiple elementary schools because she's one of our music teachers to purchase percussion equipment for $1,000. Our next recipient is Catherine Ullman from Home Gardens Academy, $1,000 science laboratory materials and equipment. Our next recipient is Arcela
Anguiano?
and Jennifer Lim from Corona High, $1,000 for dissection kits and lab coats. Yep, squeeze right in here. We love when the principals come too. Our next recipient is Christy Cahill and Nicole Elmore from River Heights Intermediate School for $690.74 for Mindful Solutions Equipment Program on campus is called CALM. Congratulations. Our next recipient is Rebecca Hoy, $1,000 from Adams Elementary for 2 iPads for the TK program to increase math and reading skills. And next recipient is Crystal Mahia from Stallings Elementary, $650 for art lessons through Elementary Art Star Company. Congratulations. We are so very proud to be able to award these grants to these amazing teachers and schools and thank them all for what they do for the students of Corona Norco Unified School District. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that opportunity for the teachers. We have foster youth all-stars.
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, so at this point, we're going to have the Foster Youth All-Star presentation. Mr. Pablo Sanchez, Director, Mrs. Anita Shirley, Coordinator of Counselors, and Mrs. Jenna Mendez, Counselor, will provide you the presentation.
Good evening, Board and Cabinet members. Thank you for the invitation this evening to present to you about our Foster All-Star program. There we go. We first wanted to start with just one of our amazing success stories that we have with our fosters, one of our foster students and former foster students in our school district. Rashawn Williams was a student at Eleanor Roosevelt. He was a resource student who was told that he would never be able to go to a four-year university because of his resource special education status. But because of the counseling staff, Ms. Mendez, and the teachers at Eleanor Roosevelt, he was able to make his dream come true to be a four-year college-bound student right out of high school, and is attending Cal State Fullerton this school year and is doing very well there. So I'm hopeful that you have seen this before, but if not, this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so what we want to make sure that we're doing with our foster students is helping them reach the top of that hierarchy of needs. But oftentimes they come to us just needing those basic needs, those psychological needs and the security needs, to making sure, and what our program does for them is helps to give those things to them as they come to us so that they can reach the top pillar on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So this is the why. Why are we focusing on our foster students? Our foster students have a great need, and it's not just a need when they're with us, but it extends into their future, and we want to make sure that what skills we give them here with us in Corona Norco will endure with them for their life. And so just a few statistics up there, but one of the focuses of our program is to make sure that they are able to go to college and reach their dreams, because our foster students in general oftentimes have a hard time reaching those goals, and so that is one of the premises that we want to focus on with our foster students from elementary into high school. So these are our numbers. The number of students that we have in Corona Norco for our foster students. We have over 370 foster students in our district, and it changes every day because our students come and go on a daily basis with us. And the majority of our students, our foster students, are in the Eastville area. So those numbers reflect all of our all of our students in Corona Norco, but in the Eastville area, that is where our students come with the foster status. So some of the purpose of the whole program and what we're looking at district-wide is just empowering them to make healthy choices and be successful individuals when they leave our district, and to increase those graduation rates. So the program is looking at the achievement community and the future planning for these students. We have an all-star club, and so there is an official club at Roosevelt, but all the schools, all the high schools are doing a club, and now it's going to the middle school and the elementary levels. So counselors are meeting with these students monthly. We're offering support like resources, bringing in former foster youth or different speakers to come in and empower these students. We always have food because that's how we get them in, and we try to make it fun. We want them to feel like they belong and to have a community with each other. So we check in with them and just making them feel good and to even know that there's others like them. The class, so this class is specific to Roosevelt. There was a class created with 10 and 20 students, and the teacher is Ms. Havard, who's formerly Ms. Hansen. And this class is very special because Roosevelt does have the biggest amount, that it really looks at their social, emotional, and target the academics. So because Roosevelt is block schedule, they are able to do an hour of like family time in the beginning, and that's where they're unloading anything that's going on, all of their issues, and just being able to start that day fresh. And then the second part is academics, and they are making up credits, working on credit recovery, getting tutoring, doing homework, whatever they need to do. And they also do celebrations, because a lot of these students don't have birthday celebrations, and celebrating getting adopted or different events in their life. The mentor program is something that now several of the schools have. One of the high schools and the middle schools are all starting to have those, and so it's looking at taking all the staff members and pairing them with these foster students. So they're just offering support on campus, having that be that extra person besides a teacher that they can go to is all staff members, custodians, SRO, clerks, anybody can be a mentor. It is voluntary. We also train them to be trauma informed so they understand what these students are going through, and that, you know, don't feel hurt if they're pushing you away, and don't overpromise them, and have healthy boundaries. And then we also do monthly events with them, or quarterly events that the mentors can attend. We do academic support, so this is very important. We have a wonderful connection with Norco College. They received a grant, and so they are now sending somebody to come to all the comprehensive high schools and work with the students. They've also been attending our events like camp, and helping our students fill out the college applications and FAFSA assistance, so that takes off something for the academic counselor's plate so that they can work with their other students, because some of these students are missing socials and different things that take a lot longer. So they're really helping us with that. Also, we're doing academic check-ins, make sure they're graduating, because we want our numbers to be good. And also AB 216, which is where they have the less amounts of credits that they can graduate with. And so we're making sure that they are, if they're entitled to that, they get that. Some events, so we do district events, district sponsors events several times a year. This has always been done at the high school, but this year it was new to the middle school. We had our first middle school event, all district, and first Eastville elementary side event for all of our students. And camp is a big district sponsored event where these students get to go up to camp and experience snow for the first time and just do team bonding, and that's put on by staff members in our district. And new this year is more elementary and middle school events. So we do monthly meetings, middle school check-ins, and having lunch. We provide a transition lunch, so the middle school goes to the high school and sees what it's going to be like going in. They know they have support. There was an all-district middle school event that Roosevelt held, and then a holiday event that we had for the elementary Eastville schools.
So some of our data, so we want to make sure that when we are providing those supports for our students, are they being successful? Is what we're offering to them really helping them? And so some of those areas that we're looking at are attendance, behavior, and their academics. So our behavior, or excuse me, our data is showing that their attendance and their academics are increasing in numbers, and they are doing better in school, and that they're wanting to go to school. And because they have connections, because they have people that they know, their behaviors are decreasing on the school sites also. We were just speaking at a conference, and we said, when I say I can see you and I care about you and I want you here, it makes all the difference in the students' lives. Do we have any questions?
Thank you very much for the presentation. I do have a couple of questions. So we were able to see Ms. Hanson, what's her name?
Ms. Havard.
Ms. Havard class. It was Ms. Hanson when we saw it.
Yeah.
And it was pretty amazing to go through and see the connections that the students have and are making with each other, as well as with her. And we were able to see Rashawn's story and meet him, and that's pretty incredible. But do we have numbers? I know the current numbers were 113 high school students. I don't know in the past, but do we have a percentage of, or a number of how many others went to college who may have graduated?
So for after high school, college, at this moment, off the top of my head, I do not, but I can get that for you.
Okay, that would be nice. I know Rashawn's story was nice, but it'd be nice to maybe see some of the others.
Yes.
And then the other question, what type of community resources or partnerships have we noticed or been able to create any, maybe looking at job opportunities, or have we been able to do something like that and partner with the community, primarily in Eastville, since a lot of them are in Eastville, but anywhere in this area?
Not necessarily job opportunities, but like I just spoke at Kiwanis last week, and they provided us with resources. We partnered with Silver Lakes, the Rotary, Miguel's, Vantage Point Church, our local district, the different departments like communications. So not necessarily jobs, but we're trying to get them, if they're not going to a four-year school, to go to like Norco College, and they're doing a great job of doing that. So as long as we can get them going somewhere and going to school, then we're getting them connected, and that's kind of our goal, is making sure they have a plan.
Thank you.
Yeah, my first question is related to funding. Because foster child kids are one of the LCAP, EL, kids in poverty, and foster kids. Is there a big need? Are we giving enough funding? It's a pointed question, but
Never enough money. So with LCAP this year, one of the opportunities that I get to have is to present to LCAP the needs that we have in our district regarding counseling services specifically. And one of the opportunities that we were given this year is to actually hire Jenna as a TK-12 foster counselor for our entire district. So her focus is our foster students for the entire district. And so that has been an amazing resource, because what they were doing at Eleanor Roosevelt when she was there was fantastic, but it was isolated to one site. There were other things going on, but she's able to go out and share her wealth and her knowledge and make sure that every student is coming on board. I mean, we can always use more money for foster students, without a doubt, but...
Because I would say that this is not the time to be shy about it, because
Right.
legally, we're supposed to really provide money for the foster program. So if we are not, you have to hold us accountable.
Definitely.
So we can tell our cabinet to, hey, pay attention. The LCAP money is supposed to be for foster.
Right.
So the other question I have is, why only Roosevelt? Are we doing enough outreach to around Corona and Norco?
Absolutely. So, yeah, the reason, Roosevelt, sorry for interrupting. The reason Roosevelt is highlighted is because that is where Jenna came from, and they do have the most foster students at Eleanor Roosevelt in the Eastville area. But with her position, we are in the Norco and Corona area. All of the schools, all of the, she is working with all of the counselors in all of those areas. The class specifically is because we need so many students to have a class. A lot of our high schools only have between 5 and 10 students, and that's not enough students to have a class for them. That doesn't mean they aren't getting the resources through the counselors at the school site to get what they need. They're holding club meetings, they are meeting with them, we bring them in for the events, and we're getting them services in a different way. And Norco College has been invaluable. They are out in the school sites monthly meeting with our students also.
Well, I hope that we can get real data that because supposedly Corona High and this side of Corona, there's many, I'm generalizing, low socioeconomic status kids. And Roosevelt is relatively not on that level of low socioeconomic, and yet there's so many foster. Maybe something we're missing, I don't know, we're missing something. Maybe there are foster kids around here that we're not tapping. Maybe we don't have the resources, and yet legally we have to be supporting them. So that's
we have been cleaning up the data, so that is one of the pieces that was missing for a while, and with Jenna coming on board, we are cleaning up that data and making sure we've written, Jenna has created new paperwork, so when students are registering with us, that we are capturing all of that information. Are they a foster student? And asking those very specific questions for our students, because oftentimes they might not see themselves as a foster student because they're living with their aunt or their uncle or their grandparents, but they actually are a foster student. And so the paperwork that we are doing through registration now with our students is able to ask those questions in a very specific way to capture that information. So we are hopeful that our data is more accurate because of that paperwork.
and lastly, what's the profile of our foster kids? Are they Latinos? Are they African American? Are they white?
We don't know the breakdown. We can find that information because that's easy to pull. it's especially like at Roosevelt where there's a lot of Eastville area, it's kind of like a melting pot, so it's kind of a lot of everybody. So, but we can get that day.
I hope we intentionally get it, because when we talk about the achievement gap,
Absolutely.
we see the lineup of these ethnic groupings, and if we don't have that specific grouping, we cannot remedy. Okay, so thanks.
Thank you very much for what you do, and happy Counselor's Week.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now go on to Superintendent's Report. Dr. Lind?
Thank you, Madam President. And before Nita and Jenna departs, again, great presentation, thank you. And indeed, thank you for all you do, and happy Counselors Week. Please share that sentiment on all of our behalf to our counselors. You guys do a great job. Appreciate your partnership. This evening, Madam President, I want to keep my report somewhat brief, but I would like to again extend my congratulations to Amy. As most of you know, she's been a dedicated choir teacher for us at Corona High for a long time, and her program is absolutely quality. We all take pleasure in listening to her kids sing and perform for us. Just really happy to see Amy be recognized tonight. So again, thank you for doing that. So I want to thank also Karen Lubin, who also most of you know, but I'm not sure in the audience, I realized that Kara was a teacher for Corona Northville Unified School District about 10 years ago. So we never see her apart from us. She's always part of CNUSD. So the whole 100-mile club endeavor, even though now it's international, she still considers CNUSD home. And so our partnership will continue, and certainly that's a very important element in the work that we do to provide well-rounded education for our students in terms of well-being, both academic and in this case, physiological as well. So thank you for that presentation and the opportunity there as well. Gretchen is no longer here, along with her Education Foundation. I want to say thank you also to their effort. The Education Foundation was established a little bit over about 10 years ago, actually, and you know that there's that need for us to bring in some supplemental resources for our classroom teachers and employees alike. And I just want to, again, say how much I appreciate and how much gratitude I have for that foundation. Gretchen's been there since day one. Some of the members have come and gone, and now we have a robust foundation membership and continue to have fundraiser and drives for dollars for our students. In this community, that's not easy. And Gretchen and I were talking a little bit outside, and just thinking about in places like Irvine as an example, and how much money they can raise relatively easy. Here, it's not about writing the check. Here, it's all about hard work and putting events out there and to earn that money. So one of the campaigns, she didn't get a mention, I'd like to kind of put in a plug for her, is trying to get some kind of support on a regular basis from all of our employees. For us, all of us to chip in a little bit so we can make sure there's some constant revenue flow coming in for us. That would be really, really great to support our students and kids. So again, thank you for recognizing her, and thank you for the Education Foundation, those 11 scholarships for our teachers. Foster youth is certainly an important group. Dr. Laws, thank you for reminding us of that. And that's part of the unduplicated count. And so we'll continue to focus the effort. We're going through another cycle of inquiry in terms of looking at resources and matching our student needs. So I know Lisa's taking copious notes, so are we, and making sure that Barbara Wolfenberger, and she does a wonderful job to make sure that we consider our foster youth. I will tell you though, if you go back and look at our LCAP plan over the past 3-4 years, we have steadily, strategically, and intentionally increasing that funding for those kids, and we need to continue to do that. Because otherwise, that's an easy group to really be put aside and lost in the shuffle of things. So I appreciate that reminder very much. I'd like to also give kudos to Glenn, your work along with our associations, in this case particularly with the Teachers Association. I, along with our executive cabinet and 2 of our board members, our president and vice president, Steve Barra and Dr. Lawless, had the opportunity to attend a collaboration training. It's called the Foundation of Collaboration, and this is through a grant that we're able to secure with CNTA. And we want to go ahead and use that dollar amount to continue to go deeper in the building and training of relationship building and trust building, ultimately making sure that we work together and better, not only at the district level, but also at the school side level as well. So I look forward to continue to support that effort. Again, thank you, Dr. Lawless and Ms. Ibarra for attending that training and kicking that off for us. And one last thing, congratulations. If you have not heard, I believe we have over 515 schools in the Riverside County out of the 23 school districts. Due to last year's test scores, and again, as you know, now it's a dashboard display. In other words, we're looking at not just test scores, but overall improvement in attendance, in suspension, in improving the test scores, both for subgroups and overall in language arts and mathematics. We have one out of two schools in the Riverside County, but I learned this afternoon that the only one public school, because the others are charter, I learned that this afternoon, out of 500 plus schools in the Riverside County that receive qualification to receive California Distinguished School status. You may recall 2 years ago, our district received by percentage, by far, the largest recipient of the Golden Ribbon Award. That's the equivalent of the California Distinguished School. At the time, lack of comparison because the SBAC scores did not have the back-to-back scores comparison. And that was an accomplishment. Now, as we look at the dashboard and growth, is much more rigorous. We have a lot of great performing schools, not only here in Riverside County, but certainly in CNUSD. But one that stood out this year is Temescal Valley. CFIS, the Coronel Fundamental Intermediate School. The only public school in the Riverside County. So congratulations to them. There's a validation process students to go through, so I don't want to jump the gun, but we certainly is the candidate of choice, and so more to come. So congratulations for at least being a candidate at this point. And lastly, once again, Happy New Year. I mentioned that in the last board meeting, but today, Happy Chinese New Year. From me to you, it is the year of the pig, so prosperity and abundance to all of us here at CNUSD. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our student board member, Amber.
Thank you, Madam President. Okay, so today we had our IDSC meeting, so with all of the other schools' executive boards, and the first thing on the agenda was Counselors Week. So every school is doing something a little bit different for Counselors Week, but we are all appreciating it, and that's either hosted by ASB, Renaissance, or the administrative staff. And they're creating goodie bags, they're writing personal letters, they're creating gigantic cards and posters just to appreciate our counselors. And it feels like we're going all out this year in comparison to other years, so it's a great time to be a counselor right now. It's a really great time. And it's all Valentine's themed, so they get like chocolate roses and teddy bears. Pretty nice. Then we talked about ASB campaigning and interest meetings. So right now, a lot of the schools are getting ready to establish next year's ASB. So they're having those campaigns, those interest meetings, discussing election processes. So Roosevelt just had a Roosevelt Rush at middle schools where they went and they introduced ASB so that they can get freshmen on their panel. They also have interest meetings and online application, and they have a week-long system of campaigning. Santiago is having interest meetings on the 21st and 22nd of this month. They have an application, and they have 1 week of campaigning and voting. Corona has 2 weeks of campaigning and voting, and they're starting their interest meetings. Centennial does it by a point system where it might not necessarily be the person who won the popular vote to win that position. It also goes into their interview, their application, their resume, their essay, all of those come into play. And it's 1 week of campaigning, 1 week of voting. Norco is putting their application together, they're having interviews, no interest meetings, and their old and new e-board members pick the students who will be commissioners, but the candidates will run per usual. And JFK is excited because they're doing freshman and sophomore interns this year, so they're expanding their ASB a little bit more. Their campaigning begins next week, Everyone interviews, and it's a 3-week process. And they're doing a lot of big things this year. JFK is really branching out and having more. They're like following suit of the other schools to really become more involved with their student body. So they're very excited. Next thing on the agenda was discussing Life Skills Prom, which is May 3rd, and that's for our special needs students. And the theme we decided would be Under the Sea, and it will be hosted at Centennial High School. We will be discussing activities at the next meeting. Valentine's and Flower Shop was also on the agenda. Centennial's holding a flower shop run by the juniors. Renaissance and Key Club at JFK are working for Valentine's Grams. Corona is doing Valentine's Grams as well as choir grams, where choir goes out and serenades both teachers and students with song. Pretty cool. Roosevelt is making hearts and putting them all around the quad. So what a lot of schools do is they take hearts and they put someone, like every student's name on one heart, and they find their heart and they pick it. So everybody's loved that day. Norco's doing the same thing. They call it Heart Attack. And we like to say Norco's a different breed. And they're also doing choir grams. They also are doing this community center dance, which is very interesting because they go to the elderly home and the juniors put on a dance at the elderly home. So they're like interacting and it's part of this community service and they're getting that love that sometimes they don't get on Valentine's Day. So. And Santiago is doing the same things like Valentine's Grams and the hearts with everybody's name on it. Upcoming events, JFK is having a blood drive on February 15th. They said they're doing Valentine's theme and they said, I thought this was interesting, you're someone's type. Like blood type? I thought it was cute. Okay. This Friday is their Sadie's and it's glow in the dark theme. The prom expo is March 15th. They're doing senior sunset and powder fluff. They're giving their powder fluff for the boys football, another try. Santiago just had their winter rally. They're doing their staff appreciation week early and that'll be next week. They're also doing a performing arts week and their talent show is February 26th. Roosevelt is doing a Mr. and Miss Mustang hosted by Avid, and they're doing a Mustang Mania where all elementary schools are invited to perform, like in their parking lot, and they like charge admission. It's very sweet. It gets the elementary schools involved. They're having a theater performance, Alice in Wonderland, February 7th to 9th, a senior trip to the Angel Stadium, a laser tag event. They had a very successful 8th grade parent night. They are doing career exploration night, Battle of the Bands, February 22nd, lip sync battle, March 15th. And they're planning to do an IDSC for the elementary schools and middle schools in Eastvale, and it'll be called Eastvale Leads. So it's kind of the same that we do. It's just a way for the high school to interact with the elementary and middle schools to give them ideas on how to really get that school spirit so that when they get to high school, they already have like a nice transition. Corona's having a blood drive February 15th. They're writing good luck notes to CIF athletes, and they're doing their Sadie's, which is coming up. Norco, March 12th, Celebrate Our Stars. That's an assembly. March 15th is their man pageant. I will be attending because it's like Mr. and Miss Mustang. It's like Mr. and Miss Centennial, and they kind of just have like a pageant to show who's the best Norco guy. February 15th is talent show, and they're also doing a fundraiser, Pennies for Life for Relay for Life. Centennial's having their National Signing Day tomorrow. It's where our athletes are being signed. We have some pretty big names up there, like Harvard. So we have an athlete going to Harvard. February 15th is our AS bonding date night where we're going to support our choir. ASB election week in March and freshman preview day is March 19th. And then we also discussed winter formal. Most of ours were successful. Just the common trend was needing a better DJ. We all tried someone new. It didn't work out. We're going to go back to DJ Nick Mac because they're normal DJ. But that concludes my board report. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? I know you meet with the other students from other schools, right? And I'm glad that you're doing a very good job of articulating what's happening. My question is, you know, there's an increase in the number of kids vaping. Do you talk about all the social issues in your? Do you talk about civic-minded projects like homeless or fundraising for something? Do you talk about bullying, or how can you talk about limiting or the number of kids who are being suspended or expelled? Do you talk about those issues?
So we do talk about those issues when it comes time like to What If Week. We talk about it during like Red Ribbon Week. So we have like those special moments where it's dedicated to just those events. But we also have like school site councils at our campus where we talk about them. Like personally, I'm in Centennial School Site Council, and in those meetings we talk about like suicide prevention and vaping and decreasing suspension. But a lot of schools, we gear it more towards fundraising and positivity. We'll mention vaping once in a while, but it's not like a subject that we bring up on the agenda specifically. But we can if you would like to hear our thoughts on it. I just think that many students, it's just so prominent on high school campuses that a lot of us are kind of, it's a norm to see it on campus, so we're not very shocked by it, and we're not the ones to go around saying, this person's vaping, this person's vaping, this person's vaping. So it's just, we know it's there, we know it exists. A lot of ASB personally doesn't do it because we're trying to be leaders, but we don't really bring it up to discussion on how to reduce it, but we can if you would like.
No, it's just something that comes to my mind because as I'm reading, kids are the hope of the society, right? And there's got to be, civic discussion should be starting at that level. Because I also notice a lot of expulsion. You know, you should all be concerned about that, right? So just an idea.
Thank you. I'll put that on the agenda next time.
Thank you, Amber. We always love hearing your reports.
Yeah.
Especially when we learn new things like someone's your type. That was pretty good. Okay, we will start with our board reports. Miss Lisa.
Good evening, everyone.
You're on.
Good evening, everyone. I had the pleasure of attending Roosevelt STEM Social Expo. What a wonderful sight to see all the students involved with STEM activities. I saw some really ingenious things. I saw students who actually developed a scope so that they could improve the reading ability of a student who has very poor eyesight, and I hope they go all the way. I'm really excited to see that. I also heard from the principal at Roosevelt that they have a student who actually developed an app to help with the grading system, and as a result, the company that provides the app, the grading system has contacted the student, and now it wants to work with them. So I think this is tremendous that most of our innovative activities come from, or ideas actually come from that age group. So 80%, that's amazing. So you can see that at that expo, so that was a great thing to see. Also went to the PSTA Reflection at Norco and saw all the wonderful awards given out. Our president was presenting the awards to the students, and they're just so excited. So I'm ready to go to JFK, right, on January 22nd to see the district-wide event of the reflection results. This last weekend I was up in Sacramento. I am also involved with the California Science Teachers Association as a liaison to the California Teachers Association, and we were talking about Norco, and I was just so impressed with the program and how they're working with CNUSD, with the Corona Norco School District in the dual enrollment program. And right now they're looking for a representative from the two-year colleges. And they're having a hard time because a lot of times at two-year colleges, most of those teachers are part-time. And so they are working hard as it is. And so they're looking for someone to represent them. And I mentioned that Dr. Reese and his association with our units, they're going to be contacting him. So we're just really proud of what he does with our district and how it's really flourished and the kids are taking advantage of. So we've been heard around the state of what's going on here. So I was really excited about that. One thing on March 2nd, my husband and I are the directors of the Inland Empire Science Olympiad. This year, I'm really pleased that we're going to have 5 schools from our district attending. So if you're around, I'll be at Ramona High School in Riverside off of Magnolia. It's an all-day event. It's open. There'll be over 3,000 people there competing in science, and so I'm excited for our schools to do a good job. So it's going to be Arbandale, 2 schools from Centennial, Roosevelt STEM, and JFK, and they'll be there. So if you want to come watch or help us out, we'd be glad to have you. Thank you.
Dr. Wallace?
That's a good report, Lisa. That's good. Thank you. On my end here, just wanted to recognize again Amy Eden, the music teacher. I think a couple of my two daughters were under her, or maybe one only. But my daughter continued with that music and choir and madrigals, and she's now a classroom teacher on her own in New York. So music works, and Amy is doing a great job, and I can attest to it personally because of my daughter's ability right now and background. The other one is on collaboration. I attended the, as Mary was saying, and Dr. Lin, collaboration meeting with CMTA, and that's good. We continue to learn how to co-construct collaboration, and that was an excellent, really excellent session with how to make decision, and I think we have a very good consultant, and I'm looking forward to more of those successes. 100-mile run with Carol Lubin. Wow, running is really, should be a way of life. I used to run and do marathons. I did 7, but I can't do it anymore. But so running is really good. It helped me when I was a student, and I was, I only stopped running a few years ago. On foster kids, maybe we need, I don't know, it should be all over our LCAP, but maybe a list or a little report on how the money allocated for foster youth being spent in our school district. Maybe it's right, some modest request to have that. Here it is, here's how we're taking care of the foster kids, and they're all reflected in our LCAP. I think it's good for us, board member, to know what that is and what's happening there. And I think lastly, when Dr. Lin mentioned about collaboration going from the board level to the school site, I think that's really an excellent goal, right? And we can do it because we have the collaboration of both the CNTA, CSCA, and I think administration will make sure that it happens, right? That's about it. Thank you.
Mr. Z?
I will be very brief. This past Saturday, attended the barn dance in Norco for the FFA program, and even though it was raining pretty good, actually, the house was packed. It's really one of the funnest events that I get to go to every year, and there's not a lot of speeches. Well, there really isn't any speeches. We had 3 students speak who are part of the FFA program, and to me that's a whole bunch better than us speaking. It's just because that's where the rubber meets the road, and they were just very eloquent and did a great job. But it really speaks to community partnerships and how well we do that in our district, because there were so many different businesses that sponsored tables and were just there wholeheartedly and doing all they could. So, fun event. And then I want to, in case Mary doesn't, I hope I'm not stealing your thunder, but Mary is the newest board member for the SAC Foundation. Last meeting, well, she came in, she got voted whether she liked it or not, but I know she does, because it's really part of our 2-pillar system, and SAC has been for 14 years now, I think, is where we're at, that we've done with every year 4,000 4th graders, so just an amazing thing, and really teaching kindness is. We see on the back wall random acts of kindness, and we want to instill that in our kids. So anyways, just want to say welcome to Mary, and congratulations for being voted on unanimously. And there wasn't even a thought process, it just happened. So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Busy couple weeks. A lot of things going on. The semester is really role. And so I had the opportunity also with Lisa and Mary to go to the Eastvale STEM Expo. And things are really happening, like Lisa said. And not only the high school students, but the middle school and elementary. It was really nice to see some of the things that they are doing in the STEM program. So that was nice. And then had the opportunity to go to one of my favorites, if not my favorite event, and that's History Day this past Saturday. And our students are just incredible, and the leadership by the teachers and the staff at our schools, it continues to amaze me. Every year I had a chance to talk to a couple of students from Todd, AJ, and Isaac, and they did a presentation on Freddie Mercury. And they were just so passionate. I saw them in the hallway, we were talking, and they were just so passionate. And I just love that. So anyway, that was a great event, and I always look forward to that each year. A couple quick things that I just wanted to focus on. One, I had the opportunity to go to the CNUSD Wellness Camp that was sponsored by Educators Connecting Educators. Fantastic. And we talk about professional development, PD. I call that personal development. And I would really like to see our district up that and get involved and offer that more. The pillar of social emotional learning is so important. It's our pillar. And how could our teachers and our staff do that adequately when they're hurting or they're drained or things are going on? So this wellness camp was incredible. They had people doing massages, painting and sipping apple juice, men's grooming. I got my hair cut there, yoga. It was great, and the teachers and the staff that were there, I think, really loved it and appreciated it. And so I would love to see us do something for our teachers like that and our staff to really help them socially and emotionally so that they're better equipped to work with our students. And then the last thing is I had the chance to go to the Mental Health Advisory Committee, a couple of meetings, and I really want to applaud Sam and Anita and Mark Pfeiffer and Steve Ellis. Really, again, I know we're not putting it on the back burner. We always have to be proactive and going to these meetings. Really, I had a chance to see that we are really doing that. We're collaborating with people in the community, and I think there's some exciting things that are happening so that we can continue to fight this mental health issue in our schools for our students and our staff. Thank you. Oh, and I love that our district is really stepping up to fight Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. So if you haven't done it, make sure you do it. And Elijah, Stacy and his brother, and of course they lost another brother, but this is a fantastic nonprofit that has really taken off because of a young man who really is fighting for a cure. And he's fighting for his life, and so Dr. Lynn, I think almost everybody here did that, and it's amazing. So take a look on either Facebook or Twitter or some social media. And for those who don't know, I think most do, but Duchenne's is very similar to ALS, but for kids. So Elijah is using the small cup, a little cup, because Duchenne's affects little people, and so he's doing a great job, and I'm just glad the district can support him. So thanks.
Yes, I did the challenge yesterday, and boy, those ice cubes really hurt, especially on a freezing rainy day, but I was happy to do it. I'm not going to go over all the different things because we go to a lot of the same events, but one thing, I did go 2 weeks to dental camp. It's a huge dental camp that we have for students and parents that do not have insurance. We saw 148 patients giving free service, extractions, cleaning, filling, and they're dental students from USC who come, and they did a fantastic job, and I wore my UCLA jacket. But they do a fantastic job, and they're only supposed to stay there till about 2 o'clock. 5 o'clock, I left, and they were still there, and they had people on the chairs giving, they didn't want to leave somebody. If there was a person that had 4 different things that they needed, they didn't want to just say, oh, we're just going to clean your teeth. No, if they needed an extraction, they got it. They needed a filling, and it was whole families. We also sent away 52 people to 2 other dental offices that the dentists that were there had their partners and friends open the dental office in Corona so they can see the patients that day. So we saw over 200 people, well, not me, but they saw over 200 people, and it's heartwarming. Also, I was happy also to attend the collaboration with the union, and Dr. Linda Sam, if you can tell me what days you're going so I can go with you, so that way if I have questions, I can ask you. I want to learn. And that is the end of my report, and we will go on to Employee Association report, and I'm really excited that we get to hear what they have to say, so CNTA, come on up.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Board, Nick. We appreciate being invited this evening. I want to kind of echo what everyone else has said. We had a terrific beginning to our, what we're referring to as FIC, which is the Foundations in Collaboration training that is going on this week. It's going to be 5 phases. Phase 1 is today and tomorrow. Phase 2 being the 7th and the 8th of February. 3 and 4 are March 25th through the 28th, and the 5th phase is May 16, 17, and I will be forwarding those dates to all of our board members. If any of you would like to swing by at any time, you are always welcome. It is at the CNTA office. I think that what's profound to us is how important collaboration is, especially when we come into challenging times or when we come up against a challenging obstacle. And in education right now, we're facing quite a few things, statewide, really nationwide. When we're looking at our funding and the challenges that we're facing being fully funded and COLA and all of those other pieces that we've discussed here, the increase in the classroom expectations, and also encouraging and retaining our teachers. And for us, that's something that's near and dear to our hearts. And as we're seeing those increases in the classroom expectations, we're seeing the overwhelming workload as that trickle-down effect. And I appreciate your words, Mr. Pollack, because we really do need to spend some time decompressing as educators, because it is difficult to be all things to all people. So spending some time together to solve those issues is really going to be important moving forward. And my right-hand lady, Meg Amato, is going to speak.
Hello. We are also looking forward to reinstating the monthly problem-solving sessions that we used to do in the district with the assistant superintendents of the departments as well as union leadership. And our hope is that the board members, when you're available, would be able to come to those sessions as well, because we truly have a belief that we're stronger together, and more importantly, our students are stronger when we're together. So we really think problem solving and being together and working together is important. And last but not least, we would really like to thank Madam President and the rest of the board for including us within the agenda. I hope you know how important and meaningful it is for our organization that our members' voices are not only valued, but intentionally invited to be a part of the conversation. Thank you.
I just wanted, I don't want to let it go, because I just wanted to commend our Madam President for taking really this initiative to make sure that our employees are heard. It's really the initiative of our President, who really understands how collaboration works. And so, thank you for doing that.
CSEA, do we have somebody representing? No, okay. Public comments, Ms. Judy?
At this point in our agenda, we invite the public to address the board. Please limit remarks to 3 minutes or less. Comments will be timed. I remind the audience that this is a public session of the board and not a meeting of the public. Although the board will not respond to speakers directly, either during public comment or after the meeting, staff members may contact speakers or follow up with written communication. If multiple speakers address the same subject, the board president may request that subsequent speakers only add new information. The time limit for a given topic is 20 minutes, regardless of the number of speakers. If a speaker wishes to be heard on more than 3 topics, the speaker will only be allowed up to a total of 10 minutes to address all desired items. Persons who have complaints against employees of the district are encouraged to seek resolution of those complaints by utilizing the district's written complaint procedures rather than orally addressing the board at this time. Please refrain from applauding after each speaker. Public comment is now open. And I would like to begin with Mr. Joe Morgan.
Good evening, board. I may be a little late to the party, but I think there's some stuff that needs to be addressed, and I hadn't heard that this matter had been corrected. I know through the Facebook blender, a story popped up from, I guess it was last spring or somewhere, about a student that was assaulted repeatedly at Orange High, and I saw that the school district attorneys, and by extension the board, had insinuated or alleged a defense that the 11-year-old special ed student was in some way responsible for the assault. And as an educator, a former school district employee, my mom was a 30-year employee, and I know at least 3 of you. I had discussions with 3 of you, and I like you a lot. And I've always thought that this was a very special school district. I went to schools here, my whole family, everybody I know, I've grown up here my whole life. What did you do to fix this? You approved this. You. 3 of you had to approve this in a closed session. I know how that works. You went in with the attorney, and the attorney said what you were going to do. So you guys made a financial decision at the time to approach a certain type of defense. That's going to follow you. I don't know which 3 of the 5 approved it. I'm just going to assume this would be like an execution thing where nobody knows who has the bullets in the gun. But 3 of the 5 of you explicitly approved this strategy. And you joined, other school districts to do the same thing. Again, I thought the school district was different. So I'd like to know what you're doing to correct this. Now, despite what the clerk says, you can address past actions. You can say, well, we did this in reaction to a question. You can't discuss new items. I know how the rules go. So I think that the public needs to know that you're not going to be blaming primary grade kids for sexual assault. I can't. I'm blown away, Mr. Pollitt. I mean, you're my representative on this board, and so from Jamie, I think a lot of you because Jamie thinks a lot of you. I can't believe that you would support this. What are you going to do? What did you do? If there's some action that you've taken, a board policy that's been written since that you're not going to do it anymore, that if you need money, I'm sure the rest of us would take up a collection to pay whatever the marginal difference was in the settlement, or whatever it is, but you don't blame kids. I never got that in any of my training, any of my classes. You don't blame kids. Never again. And I'd like to know what you did about it. Thank you.
And I'd like to call the podium Mr. Peter Atwood.
My name is Peter Atwood. I live in Upland, but I'm here quite a bit. Until 2 years ago, I never was. I tend to be in places where districts have trouble because I get dragged into things when parents are having a problem, and when they're not, I don't. So I end up being places when there's a problem, and I've been here a lot lately. And Joe Morgan, I guess, has explained some of the attitude that causes that to happen. Now, one thing I've seen with the special ed department here is that they will fight to the death to avoid taking care of simple learning disabilities. You guys know, or should know, that learning disabilities are a significant risk factor for suicide. You have suicide awareness programs, and you have a special ed department to make sure that the torments of learning disabilities don't get addressed. You have you have a concern about mental health. Learning disabilities and the bullying that follows results in mental health problems. If you're interested in mental health problems, how about causing your special ed department to stop paying keep away when it comes to simple fixes to take care of learning disabilities like visual processing and auditory processing and sensory processing problems? I don't understand that. Joe Morgan is not hallucinating because, in fact, you do want to spend money on lawyers rather than spending money on kids. Why is that okay? Because I'm old and I'm slow and I'm fat and I'm lazy and I don't want to work. If I can get the work done without fighting, without litigating, without getting lawyers involved, I'm good. I'd rather get the job done without working. I don't know why you all don't.
Next, I'd like to call to the podium Oliver Unaka.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Superintendent Dr. Lynn, executive cabinet members, and staff who are in attendance. I'm here today, and some of you know me, but I'm here specifically wearing the hat of Eastvale Mustangs, junior All-American football. I represent some 413 families as of this last year at the culmination of our season. And I mentioned to the parents and to my fellow board members that I would come and address the board directly because there is some concern and even some agitation that I thought it best to bring to the board and to Superintendent Lynn's attention. There is some concern that Eastville residents are expressing to our board directly regarding the fee for the fields. And I want to tie this to the LCAP discussion that you've been having today, Dr. Lawless, especially with regards to the trend that your staff mentioned in their staff proposal with regards to the disproportionate number of foster families that are in Eastvale. I would encourage you to get with staff and get an understanding of why. The reality is no longer are the terms foster being used. They're now in search of what's called resource families. Based on the demographic of Eastvale, there are certain families out there who have the ability to take on an extra student or two who may be in need of temporary placement or long-term placement. As a result, we have been seeing directly with our football program a significant spike of students who are recently enrolled, be it because their family members lived in Los Angeles and their relatives are in Eastvale. We provide scholarships to these families, not because they can't so-called afford it, but because it's a strain on the family budget and they're trying to do well by relatives. The amount that we're paying for the fees in particular, there's an agitation that has reoccurred because of your former assistant superintendent of facilities. We had a not so great relationship with him. And I'm not sure, and I told them I'd find out exactly what your process is. I'm not sure if it's through Civic Center Act or if it's through JCSD. But I will be contacting you, Dr. Lynn, by email, and hopefully you put me in contact with the staff member so we can get to the bottom of this very quickly without going through a long, extended process. I want to take a look at what those fees are because when we take a look at the benefit of our program for the students locally, it's absolutely imperative now. And I forget which board member mentioned it when you talked about community partnerships. They're absolutely critical, and we view ourselves as a partner with not only Corona Norco School District, but also with other programs in the area. We are agitated in Eastvale because there's a lack of options for our kids. The schools are impacted. Right now, what we're concerned with as a ball program is we have parents who have students now that are playing Pee Wee and a few lower divisions that have already determined that Eastvale Roosevelt High School is not an option for them. That's a problem for me personally because my kids attend Ronald Reagan Elementary, and in closing I will say I'm also concerned with if you take a look at the trends and you disaggregate the data from your local Augie Ramirez Middle School. I'm concerned about the suspension rates on the California dashboard and how community partners like ourselves can help support and curb some of this, but it's a strain on us and on others if we're paying astronomical amounts just to have the lights turned on for security, for things that are written into your contract when we're trying to be of service to the community. We're educational administrators by day, we're lawyers, we're all this by day. At night, we wear a coaching hat, and we really need the support of Corona Norco to have a look at these fees and reduce them dramatically. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Christina Palmieri.
Good evening, Board President, Board members, Cabinet, Dr. Lynn, and staff. I am Christina Palmieri, and I came tonight with the most egregious of complaints going on at Centennial High School and the illegal 5-day suspension of my child, and unfounded charges and without due process. I present now a hard copy of a 14-page email that you should have all received. By now, you all should have received this email, but as of yet, nothing has been from this board or Dr. Lynn. It is with grave concern the extent of unlawfulness, violations such as civil rights violations, constitutional rights violations, American rights, basic human rights, state ed code violations, including 48911, 48911.1, 48900.5, Regulation 5 CCR-4965, SB 395, and including Corona Norco Board Policies 1321, 4301, 5475, just to name a few of these. And along with an illegal search, failure of due process, and denials to be continually allowed has brought me here tonight to address this board and district. Along with no administrative hearing or due process for my child. He was subjected to repeated violations and abuses that are continuing by Michael Ross, Vice Principal at Centennial High School and this district as of now. Mr. Ross has acted in an extremely unlawful way, has perpetrated horrendous crimes in the school of his employment here at Corona Norco. And it is outlined in that 14-page document that I just handed. It has been sent electronically, and the extent to Mr. Ross's practices, policy, and crimes need to be addressed as soon as possible. It is most imperative to do so. Michael Ross's unlawfulness continued practices are extremely dangerous to the very students he is paid by Corona Norco Unified School District and licensed to uphold. Student safety is the responsibility of each of you. Proper investigation will find a very unethical and very concerning practice going on by Michael Ross. He is practicing on and towards students, and with in my situation, it's of the utmost concern of what happened to my child first and foremost. Mr. Ross has developed his own standard of rules, regulations, and laws that violate children, students, parents' rights, and the district itself. Mr. Ross has no value of the constitutional rights, civil rights of the United States of America, and at the very base, Mr. Ross acts on a distorted, self-made version of his laws, at the expense of children, their well-being in all areas, and the rights that these children hold at Centennial High School. Mr. Ross's level of misconduct, abuse, and unlawfulness in our direct situation needs immediate attention. Mr. Ross's abuse of power, his practices warrants a full investigation by Corona Norco Unified School District, this board, and all agencies that monitor and regulate such abuses. Let it be known publicly we are prepared to take legal action and go to the media and share our stories. If this is allowed to continue at my child's expense any longer, I want to leave here tonight with the knowledge you all have receipt of said document in your possession. Also, it is now stated publicly that Mr. Michael Ross, Vice Principal at Centennial High School, is not to have any contact for any reasons with my child, myself, or my family. I want reassurance my child is free from any further inflictions of mistreatment, unlawful practices, denial of civil liberties, constitutional rights, and any abuse from Mr. Michael Ross, Corona Norfolk Unified School District, and any and all employees in this district. And my child can return to school after weeks of absences with full knowledge our child is actually safe at his school.
Thank you, ma'am. Time is up.
On behalf of the Board of Education, thank you for your comments. Although the board will not respond to your concerns at this time, please be assured that all comments are taken seriously. As I stated previously, a staff member will contact you or follow up with written communication.
Are there any items to be pulled from the agenda? Do we have a motion and a second to approve the consent items?
Second.
All in favor, please vote. Judy?
Okay, on behalf of the district's board, staff, and students, I'm pleased to acknowledge the generous gifts and donations just officially accepted by the board. The contributions of the community members to the district and the students we serve are greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we will move to adjourn. Motion? Second? Board members, please vote. Meeting adjourned.